Hey guys, it's me ShadowEyes916. I'm going to continue reading for part 10 now. And this chapter is called Unexpected. Alright, so far it's been really tense. Let's see if anything real bad happens, since we heard from the last part of part 9. I'm really hoping that they live, but I'm just curious of what's gonna happen, and let's get reading. I breathed heavily as the bullet zoomed out of the barrel. It whistled clearly hard, and clearly heard. I looked at Jeff, who had fear in his eyes, and looked at me with worry. Jane lowered the gun with a smirk. I was shaking and couldn't believe she'd done it. It was something I never thought she would have done. "Why?" I asked, looking at her with surprise. "Because we're family," she replied. I slowly turned to face Luke, and he was holding his chest and felt to his knees. He began to cough up blood and put a hand on the ground. He looked up to Jane with disgust and untrust. The amount of blood leaving his body was coming more and more. I knew inside that head of his that he couldn't grasp what had just happened. The inability to understand what had gone wrong in his plan that he thought was perfect. "You traitor," he managed to say, holding on to the last bit of life that was drifting away. "I knew your game, Luke, from the get-go. I was not dumb, nor was I naive," Jane confessed. I thought you hated them," Luke said. Jeff, I may still hate, but the masked maiden, I owe," she explained. Luke hazily looked at Jeff, Luke hazily looked at Jeff and I, realizing it was us she hated. "It was you, he tried to say, but collapsed dead. At the moment his body hit the ground, Clark and them came. He had overheard because his face showed anger and disbelief. "Jane," he hissed. She raised her gun and pointed it at him, causing me to freak out inside. "It had to be done," she stated. "Why them?" "Because I tried to kill her when she was human, but Jeff protected her. He's in love with her, so he killed me to protect her. That is why I am the way I am today. All of them have been protecting her ever since she's gotten here. Now do you believe?" she said. Clark looked as if something clicked in his head. All my other friends stayed calm. "So they did keep you safe." "I still don't care. She needs to come back home with us," Clark shouted. "She is home," Jeff and Jane said in whatever word I can't say. He widened his eyes and looked at me for any hope from me. "This is my home now," I said, assuring Jeff and Jane's statement. This is such bullshit, Ariel," he growled. What? I questioned. "Don't act dumb. Michael told me that you loved me once, a year ago. Where did that go?" he asked. It left when you never talked to me. When your friends weren't anything to you anymore. I still loved you past that time, but started giving up. And then Jeff came along. I got the love back. I got the love I gave back. The question is what happened to you? Look at yourself, willing to threaten your own friend and drag her back to where you think she belongs. This is my choice. What does it matter where I go as long as I'm happy?" I argued, letting my anger out. "Because you should Because you should be happy with me. I realize how much you meant to me. Why, I smiled all the time, he said, revealing his feelings. You realize it's too late, I said, walking to Jeff. He smiled at me happily, and I hugged him. I love you, Jeff finally said. I love you, Jeff finally said the words. I love you too, I replied happily. He leaned down to kiss me gently and pulled back, giving me the softest of eyes. They flickered to Clark, and they swarmed with lust for blood. He released me and began walking towards Clark. He pulled out his knife and started sprinting at him, laughing crazily. Clark widened his eyes and ducked at Jeff's swing. The rest of my friends tried to help Clark, but Jane fired at them, missing them on purpose to get them to shrink back. Why are you helping Jeff? I asked. I'm helping you, she corrected. She kept her eyes on them in case they moved, but my attention turned to Clark as he ran into the trees, crazy Jeff following with knife raised. Okay, for me, I'm not sure if I explained it at the beginning, that this was part 10. Kind of had a hard memory, but yeah. This is the next chapter, called Towards the End. Jeff! I screamed after him as he continued to chase after Clark. He did what he normally did and ignored me, insanity taking over his body like a hypnotic state. I tried my best to keep up with him and tried to grab his arm and to pull him back, but it didn't work. Get the hell away from me, Clark yelled as he started throwing knives at Jeff. With swiftness, Jeff dodged each one, making him laugh even louder. Look at you, so pathetic. You've really done it now. Jeff left as he caught up to Clark. Jeff lunged at him and knocked him out of view, me running right after him. I came out of the woods into a prairie-like area that I've never seen before. As I examined my surroundings, I saw Jeff on top of Clark. Knife once again raised. How does it feel to lose her to me? I too, to know she doesn't love you. Jeff cackled in happiness at Clark's sadness and anger. She will never love you truly. It's all a lie. Clark attempted to get him off track. How dare you say that? I shouted, running up to Jeff and yanking him off of him. I grabbed Clark and flung him up, anger growing in me. What happened to you? I asked angrily. I can't ask the same goddamn thing, he shouted at me. You're the one that's changed for the worst, I spat as I threw him on the ground. Is that how bad it's gotten? He questioned with a sneer. For you, yes, I hissed. I was cut off by screaming and gunshots near the area. I looked up and saw some of the recruits shooting behind them, frantically trying to eliminate the enemy behind them. Chasing after them was Slendy and Splendy. Working as a pair, one of Slendy's tentacles grabbed his arm, while Splendy grabbed the other. They began pulling, and I quickly looked away as I heard the flesh ripping apart and the sound of blood splattering the ground and trees. Look what they're doing, Ariel. What will you do? Clark yelled. Humans do the same. I do what I want, and I choose not to do anything like that. Nothing will influence my decision, whether you think that or not. I screamed at him. He seemed frightened by my anger that he's never seen before, and I'm sure could live without seeing. He inside knew he was defeated, but refused to give up. My friends appeared and stood behind him, giving me angry yet hopeful looks. He seemed frightened by my anger that he's never seen before. And I'm sure I could have lived without seeing. He inside knew he was defeated but refused to give up. My friends appeared and stood behind him, giving me angry yet hopeful looks. Ariel, please listen to us, Lainey begged. No, I'm tired of you telling me what to do and how to live my life. This has always been my decision, and I'm tired of you treating these people like shit just for their appearance. I growled. Ariel, I don't want to fight you, Michael said calmly yet angrily. Then leave, I hissed. Not without you, Clark said as he got up and stood up straight. I knew that moment that I was about to attack my friends, but inside I was fully praying that I or Jeff wouldn't kill them. From above I saw Ben's little zeppelin appear above us and float there, locking on their targets. Slendy and Splendy stood behind us, and I saw everyone else come from the trees and stand behind us as well, ready to fight. The rest of the recruits that were alive appeared and stood defensively behind my friends. Please, don't kill my friends, I whispered so that my friends wouldn't hear me. Kill them all, one of the recruits growled. I looked at him and frowned, starting to lose my patience, and once our statement were confirmed, we began running at each other, all of us beginning the war, officially. Next chapter, the rush. Once each of the groups clashed, it felt like a huge rush of energy. People were going at each other's throats, and it was intense. I couldn't have the thought that this would actually happen, especially towards my close friends. They were just trying to care about me. Yeah, I felt as though they were watching me like a child. I hated that. I told them this was my choice, so why couldn't they just accept that? I hated being so hurtful to them when they'd given so much. I'd always prayed and hoped for the best of them. But could the same not go to me? I went for one of the recruits that was trying to aim his gun at Sally's head, and I smacked his gun up, causing him to fire up into the air. I hit his ears so that he couldn't think straight. He stumbled back as he was trying to collect himself, but I did not give him enough time to react. I punched his gut and threw him to the side before I could cause any further damage. To be honest, if these were demons for some sort, then I wouldn't hesitate to cut off their heads. But I couldn't do that. To the humans. I guess I was some sort of weird creepypasta in a way. My friend Michael stood in front of me as I ran to help Masky when he got knocked to the ground. I don't want to do this, he said. Then leave, please, I begged. I don't want to leave you behind. You're too important, he argued. Do you really think I'll never come to visit you guys? I asked. You haven't for almost 7 months. It's almost a year now, Ariel, he pointed out. That's because I've been busy trying to keep them and myself alive for rebuilding the house that you destroyed, I said with a bit of anger. I'm sorry, we tried to stop them, but you really believe we would do that? He questioned. No, I knew you wouldn't, I answered with a sigh. I looked to my left and saw that most of the recruits were down and dead. The only people surviving were my friends who were trying to get away from them. But Jeff was going at Clark's throat, never stopping. Jeff, stop! I shouted as I ran at him, pushing Jeff off of Clark. This is my fight, I said. Jeff glared at him and nodded to me, my gaze going to Clark. I'm tired of fighting you, but if I have to, I will, I said. I don't want to hurt you. Then just leave, I screamed at him. He sneered and got up, grabbing my arm. Let me go, I said as I punched him in the face. He let go of me and I felt his jaw shocked that I had just placed a blow on it. a blow on him. I let all of my anger out and swept my leg under his feet, causing him to fall straight on his face. He looked up at me and grabbed my ankle, taking me to the ground. A fight was still going on behind me, but slowly the gunshots went down as they died. Everyone started focusing on Clark and me, my friends yelling at him to stop. He began to get on top of me, and I kicked him in the face, knocking him off. He growled in pain and started getting up with a rush of adrenaline. As I got up, he hooked his arms around my neck and began dragging me backwards. "You're coming back with us whether you want to or not," he snapped. "No, I'm not," I protested as I elbowed him inside. He grunted and let go as I spun around to slap him. But before I could, he took my arm and smashed me to the ground. Suddenly, I saw a flash of white and red go by and grabbed Clark's neck. Beginning to choke him, Jeff let go and stabbed him in the back. "Clark!" I screamed in fear as blood began dripping off his back. Jeff yanked the knife out and spat on Clark as he swayed back and forth from the pain. All of my friends ran to Clark's aid as he fell to the ground, once again dying. But the wound was so close to the heart, I promised myself. Next chapter. Didn't listen. "Look what's happened!" I cried as I saw him look up at me dazedly. "Why couldn't you just leave?" I questioned as all the tears started raining down my face. I fell to my knees next to him as he began to shake and breathe heavily. "Don't ever forget, please," he begged as he started crying too. I looked around and to Slendy, who was just standing there, pitiful towards my condition. "Take them out of here. Send him to the hospital, quickly," I pleaded. "Ariel, he doesn't have it," he argued. "Just do it," I screamed. He sighed and reached his tentacles towards Clark and my friends who just watched in horror at the most dead Clark. I put my head in my hands and cried even harder as I realized that what was about to happen. One of my closest friends was about to die, right in front of me. I promised myself. "Ariel," Jeff muttered sadly. I stayed quiet and just let my tears out. "I'm so sorry. He continued. "Why didn't you just listen?" I questioned as I turned to look at him. He looked away and bit his bottom lip, thinking. "I told you not to," I stated. "I couldn't just let him do that to you. I couldn't let him kill you. I couldn't let him hurt you like that. Speak to you. I couldn't let him hurt you like that. Speak to you," he explained as he walked up to my emotionally hurting body. The switch of a portal opening sounded, and I looked up to see all my friends who were walking alongside Slendy, who was carrying Clark. "I will come to visit. That is a promise," I told them as they looked like they were about to cry. They nodded and Lanny started bawling her eyes out. I just shook my head and turned to put it in Jeff's shoulder, whose arms were wrapped around me for comfort. "God, please, save him," I prayed to myself. As they were about to leave, Slendy turned around and all my friends looked at him, even more sorrow growing on their faces. "Ariel," Slendy began. "Just go," I shouted at him. There was still hope. I wanted to believe that. I wanted to accept that. I needed it. Slendy did as he was told and turned around back into the portal and vanished with the rest of my friends. "We won," I whispered as I got out of Jeff's grasp and stood up. "Ariel, you don't have to," Masky started. "It's fine. We won. Let's get you guys back to the house," I said with a small smile and snuffle. As much as I was trying, I couldn't put on a happy front. It hurt too much to know what I'd done. Even if I wasn't the one who killed him, I was still ashamed of myself for allowing it to happen. Well, at least Jane isn't acting like she has a pole up her butt, Ben said, attempting to make me laugh. He was successful, and I laughed slightly with a look to Jane, who glared at the zipline in the air. Better watch it, Gizmo, she hissed. Like you can catch me, he snickered. But before she could say anything, Ben shot a gas bomb at her and drove the zipline away as fast as he could. You little brat, she shouted as she chased it. I started laughing a bit more, tears still trickling down my cheeks every once in a while. These people were attempting to make me feel better, and I was happy for that. But when Clark was taken away, a bit of me began to miss him. I would miss him. He was such a close friend. A portal reopened behind us, and Sleddy stepped out, a side vibe all around him. I'm sorry, he apologized. I don't need to hear it. I'll be fine, I assured. Are you sure? Jeff asked. Yes, I said with a small smile. Even if you hate me, I'll always love you, he said softly. I turned to him and placed a hand on his white, leathery cheek, and he looked up to me with sadness in his black dots. I don't hate you, I love you, no matter what, I told him. He cheered up a bit and took my hand, bringing it down and intertwining our fingers. We won, Masky and Hoodie sang as they began walking after an angry Jane. We followed, and I looked back to the blood-spattered area and shed a few more tears. I'm so sorry, Clark. Okay, guys, so on the story, this is explaining that for this next chapter, called The Teaser, is taking place before the bombing while Jeff and Ariel are dating. But of course it's gonna keep on going though, this chapters, but this is just like a moment before all the craziness. So here you go for this part of the chapter, and this is the last one for this part. So get ready for the ending of part 10 and be ready for the beginning of part 11. Here we go. Okay, here we go. I set my Kindle down on my nightstand and turned it on. Today was cleaning day like it was every Tuesday. I like being clean, but it was a pain in my butt, to be honest. Once the Kindle started, I went to the J-pop section of the MP3 player app and clicked on Electric Angel by Kagamine, Ren, and Len. It was on full blast, and for the tiny thing, it was pretty loud. I began dancing to it and completely forgot about cleaning at the moment. What the heck is that? I heard Masky basically shout over my music. I turned to face him and he was standing in the doorway with Jack, Hoodie, Ben, and Jeff. They all seemed to be watching me as I grew red in the face with a bit of embarrassment. That's J-pop, couldn't you tell? Ben asked, shocked as he was getting into the song. Only you two would know that, Masky pointed out. Oh, come on, you gotta have fun sometimes. I laughed. There, asswipe, Ben said, patting Masky's shoulder. Masky flicked his forward and came into my room, followed by the rest of them. Dance with me, I said happily. Nuh-uh, I don't dance, Jeff refused. How? Aw, come on. Besides, I could say otherwise, I said flitteringly as I remembered the moonlight ball. Oh, you're going to use that now, he chuckled. You know it, I laughed. I'm all for dancing, Ben shouted as stood next to me. Masky, Hoodie, and Jack began to back away when Ben and I grabbed them, forcing them to dance. As we did, Gotcha Gotcha Q Ryu remix came on, and I prepared to dance. Please don't make me do this, Masky begged. Nope, I denied as I made them follow in my footsteps. Jeff began laughing at Masky and Hoodie, as Masky and Hoodie were attempting to follow in Ben and my footsteps, while Jack did it almost perfectly. Though I'm sure if he wasn't wearing a mask, he would have the look of hating his life on his face. But as we continued, I heard Slendy's voice. "Why aren't you guys cleaning?" he asked. With the fact he got caught, Masky jolted from his position and rammed into Hoodie. Hoodie tried backing up, but tripped and fell over, grabbing Masky's jacket and yanking him on top of him. When Hoodie fell down, he also hit Jack, and Jack stumbled back, hitting his head against the bed and falling on his butt. Jeff, Ben, and I started cracking up, laughing. I couldn't breathe. It was so funny. "You guys suck," Ben joked as he tried his best to stop laughing. With that, Masky grabbed Ben's leg and yanked him down on top of him. I laughed even harder and grabbed my stomach. "I can't breathe," I screamed as I tried to stop. "You guys are unbelievable," Slendy sighed, but with a small chuckle. Alrighty guys, well that was the end for part 10, so get ready for part 11 because that's the last part from this story. Hopefully you guys are liking the story so far, because the story that I found is really amazing. Of course, and hopefully it's been catching you guys' eyes and ears, whatever way, you know. And this story has been grateful from the beginning to the end, and it's been mostly hilarious and kind of has some sadness in it. So I hope you guys been loving it so far. So leave a like and subscribe, because I will put up some more love stories or other kind of creepypastas that are new. So if none of you guys heard it before, so just leave a comment for what you want, like I've been saying, and yeah, bye.